Today I'm going to be reading Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. My expectations for this book are honestly really high because of how hyped it is on Book Talk and on BookTube. I hear about it everywhere I go. It's like, Once Upon a Broken Heart, it's sold out everywhere. I had to order this online because I couldn't find it in my usual bookstores. And so I'm excited about this because it's just like, it sounds really good. It sounds like something I would read even if it wasn't hyped. So from my understanding, the plot of this book is basically about a woman named Evangeline Fox, and she's in love with this guy and she finds out that he's getting married to somebody else. And she's like, I don't like that. Like, I want to be with him. Like, she's always believed in like that fairy tale ending. She basically makes a deal with this like Prince of Hearts guy to basically stop the wedding so it doesn't happen. But she kind of enters in this bargain and it kind of, I imagine, kind of does something that she doesn't intend to happen. And so this book is all about that. And then there's another book as well. I believe this is a duology. So I'm going to start reading this one and I'm really excited. So let's crack it open. So I'm now a little bit more than 100 pages into Once Upon a Broken Heart, and this book is like really magical and like has that fairy tale vibe to it for sure. This book immediately just like gets right into the story. So like Evangeline, like this guy that she loves, Luke, is marrying her stepsister, and she's like, why is that happening? Like, he loves me, like he must be forced to do this. So she ends up looking for like the fates, and so like the fates in this world, I don't know how many there are, but there's this one called the Prince of Hearts. And people basically like go to his like church to like pray for them, pray to him to basically like help with their broken hearts. And so she goes there and she basically like makes a deal with him, and he's actually like physically there. And she's like, I need you to stop the wedding because I love Luke and like I don't want like this to happen to Luke. And the guy's like, okay. And so he basically makes a deal with her and he like bites these like hearts on her. And so she basically has to like kiss 3 guys that he picks for her to kiss for their bargain to be over. And so she goes over to like see what's going on at the wedding, right? And it turns out that everybody, like her stepsister, Luke, people at the wedding were all turned to stone. And she's like, that's not what I wanted. And he kind of pops out and he's like, well, you said to stop the wedding. And she was like, no, that's not what I wanted. So she sees this like cup and it says like poison, do not drink. And she basically finds out that like if she drinks it, it's going to save all the people who are stoned, but it'll turn her to stone. And she's instantly like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, like she turns into stone. And then 6 weeks later, she's basically recovered by another fate named Poison. And he basically like cures her of being stoned. And like when she exits kind of like the hospital-ish area, a bunch of people are waiting for her. Like pretty much everybody in town who had been like a customer of hers, or like the oddity shop that she inherited from her dad, like her stepsister's there, her stepmom is there, pretty much everybody except for Luke. Luke is not there. And she's obviously like devastated about this. And so she basically learns that after she was turned to stone, all the fates kind of like came back and did this whole like week of terror. They like killed people, they destroyed things, like it was mayhem. And everybody thinks that Evangeline is a hero because they don't realize that it's because of her that people were turned to stone. And so they think that she just saw it and drank the poison to save these people without actually like being involved with it. So everybody thinks she's a hero. She has a ton of people who want to marry her now, and like it's like not what she wanted. Like she wanted Luke. Now there's like thousands of guys who are like, I want to marry you. And she's like, So some events ensue, and the new like empress, who basically ended up like taking the place of a guy who was like killed during that whole week of like madness where all the fates just like did whatever they wanted, ends up picking Evangeline. It's like, hey, can you be an ambassador for like the North? Like there's like this prince and he's hosting like a ball, and like we need like somebody from like our kind of country to go there and maybe marry him. And she's like, okay. And she decides to go because like she wants to get over Luke, but she makes a deal to like bring her stepsister because she feels really bad. But also like everybody's saying her stepsister's like the cursed bride, And so like she's basically like, everybody in the whole town just avoids her at all costs. So she's like, I want to take my stepsister. And they're starting to have this bond, but like Evangeline is obviously like super guilty as well, because it's because of her that Evangeline was like cursed in this way. So for me, this is where the book starts to get really, really fun and like really magical, because she and her stepsister go to the north, and it's completely different than like the setting where she was. Like there's dragons flying around, there's like magic, there's just, it's so hard to explain, but like just like that magical feeling that you get like when you think about fairy tales is like, I don't know how the author did it, but like you feel it, and it's just like, oh, it makes me want to like, you know? So yeah, now she's pretty much like going to the ball, trying to like woo this prince and stuff. And of course, the Prince of Hearts guy makes an appearance, and he's like, first kiss, you're gonna go kiss like the prince, and basically if you don't kiss him by the end of the day, you'll die. So it's interesting because it's kind of like a weave of like fairy tales, right? It kind of makes me think of like a mix of like Sleeping Beauty, kind of like Snow White, and then of course like Cinderella vibes. It's like all of these stories that I grew up being obsessed with kind of like weaved into this story, and so I am having way more fun than I thought. At first I'm like, this book's a little bit silly, but like it has like that, there's just the magic of it. Like the magic of it is what's making me like, oh, I gotta read more. And Evangeline is like, she's so innocent and precious, and she just really believes in love and happy endings, and like she's super naive, but she's sweet and she's brave, and it's like, I can't help but kind of like feel for her. And like, I know that like once her stepsister finds out like that Evangeline was responsible for all of this, like it's gonna be tough, because like they're really bonded now, and I'm like, oh. So yeah, I'm gonna continue to read Once Upon a Broken Heart, and I will update you at the halfway mark. I am now about halfway through Once Upon a Broken Heart, and I'm still really enjoying this story. I don't even know what it is really about this story. Like, it's not anything like special or anything, but like I can't stop reading it. Like, it's just so easy to read, I think. Like, it's easy to read, it's interesting, and like, I don't know, I just can't stop reading it. It kind of gives me the feeling like, you know when like you're first introduced to like a magical kind of like world or like a Disney movie, it kind of encompasses that feeling throughout the entire book. And I think that's what's like really resonating with me. It's also really interesting to see like, what are the 3 kisses that Evangeline has to do? The first one kind of resulted in like somebody falling in love with her. The second one, she didn't actually have to like kiss them, just like give them a little peck on the cheek there. And so she's already done 2 of the 3 kisses, and she's kind of discovering that there's like a prophecy that's kind of related to her. I think this is really interesting because it's like somebody is setting up all of these pieces so the prophecy happens, because the prophecy has to happen in order to open this kind of like this arch, and nobody actually knows like what's actually inside of the arch. It's either like some really horrible like mutated monsters, or it's kind of like treasure. And there's like 2 different stories about what it could be, but she knows like she really shouldn't have that open, but she doesn't really have a choice. And so she's kind of dealt a pretty bad hand. Like, if she does one thing, something bad's gonna happen, and then if she does the other thing, something bad is gonna happen. And so being the kind of person that Evangeline is, she really just wants to make sure that like everybody's happy and everybody has their happy endings. However, she doesn't really think about herself, and so she's going through the path to make sure that everybody else is happy. And like, she's just so sweet. Like, she's like the sweetest, probably one of the sweetest main characters ever. So yeah, I'm about to find out what happens, like when this event happens, and if the event happens, then how that relates to the prophecy and like the gate then, like the arch opening. So I'm excited to see, and I'm excited to see like why Jax really wants this then like to happen. So I will update you either like towards the end or when I finish the book, and so we'll see you in the next update. So I'm almost at the end of Once Upon a Broken Heart, and I love just like filming these updates, like because now when I reflect back to my previous update and then where I am now in the book, I'm like, oh wow, okay. I was not correct in some areas, and it's also just like fun, like all the emotions, like I've been like and this book is so easy to read. I've literally sat on this couch all morning, like it's a weekend. I've just been reading all morning. That's all I've been doing. And like, I don't even know what it is about this story that I can't stop reading, but like, I feel like I'm possessed. Like I have to continue to read this book, and I'm like, one more chapter, then one more chapter turns into 10. And so yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. I'm probably gonna finish, like I literally started this book, like I read like 50 pages last night, and then I read all of the rest of it today. So this is gonna be another reading a book in 24 hours, because like I'm just like obsessed. Like, why does this have such a chokehold on me? I get it, but I also don't get it. It also had one of my favorite things, which is like when the guy is kind of like coming out of like the effects of a venom, and he basically is always telling the truth. I absolutely love when books do that so much. Like, I don't care how cheesy and cliche it is. I love it. Like, when I was reading Throne of the Wicked, there was a similar scene where it's like they're not telling each other like how they feel, but then they're in like the lake and they end up kind of telling each other the truth. And something very similar happened in this, except for just one of the characters, and it's like, oh, but I wanted you here, and it's like, oh, I knew it was coming, but it's cute anyway. So yeah, I'm going to finish reading this book, and unfortunately, I already Googled it. The store that I go to for books does not have the second one, so I'm gonna order it online, and hopefully it'll come tomorrow so I can read it, because like, this is such a good time. I just finished Stephanie Garber's Once Upon a Broken Heart, and like, I just want to scream. I already ordered book 2 and book 3, and it's not coming until Tuesday, and I'm recording this on a Saturday, so it's so long, I have to wait. I can't believe how obsessed I am with this book. Like, this has a chokehold on me like Divine Rivals did, and like, I don't understand why. Like, there's nothing special about it. Like, it's just your average run-of-the-mill YA fantasy book, but there's just something about it. There's something magical about it. Like, I really don't know how to explain it, and like, I feel like I'm conflicted with myself, because like, I devoured this book. Like, I read it in like 9 hours, and I just like, literally all day, like, you can see, like, the sun is starting to like get ready to set now, and like, honestly, I don't even have the words for why I love it so much, but like, I love it. So despite my better judgment and everything that I usually put into my readings, because of like how entertained I was, and like, again, I don't understand, but like, because of the way I feel about this book, I'm actually gonna give it 5 stars, which it kind of goes against like my usual ratings, because like, it has to have like really amazing like in-depth characters and like not like standard cliches, but it's like, the book was so predictable, but it was so fun. And so I'm like, I think that's what really matters about reading. Like, a book can be super predictable and the characters can be whatever, but like, it's all about enjoying it, in my opinion. And because I enjoyed it so much, that's, I think, what makes it so good. Like, to be honest, I love those really cheesy like Christmas movies that come out on Netflix every year. They're not good in any way, but there's just something about the magic in those and like the way my heart feels about it, and that's how I feel about Once Upon a Broken Heart. So I have to wait 3 days until I can read the second book, and that is slowly going to kill me, I know. However, in the meantime, I will be reading Wildfire by Hannah Grace. So if you're interested in watching me read this book, as well as The Ballad of Never After, which will come on Tuesday, and I'm like waiting and hoping it comes early, definitely hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and turn on the bell notification. That way you get notified anytime a new video comes out. If you enjoyed this video, and if my sick voice did not disgust you every time I talk, please hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!